Hi, hello, and welcome to another episode of course,
China.
Well, Ziv, where are we and who are we meeting today?
Oh, we are now here today at Fifth Avenue restaurant in Dongguan with Martin Cook. Martin is a furniture designer who designed more than 8,000 different pieces of furniture throughout his career. Worked for Disney, lived in several places in the world. We are going to talk about design of furniture, about living in China, coming to China first time in 1994, and copying issues in China and many other.
We're also going to
topics.
talk about success. We're also going to talk about charity. I mean, there's a lot to talk about, so don't go anywhere. We'll see you on the other side of the intro.
Hi, Martin.
Hello.
Make sure you're close to the mic, okay?
Sorry, yeah.
Right.
I'm so comfortable in my chair. I just want to sit back.
For those
here.
that listen to the podcast, they like the good audio, of course.
So, for those who listen to the podcast, I really invite you guys to go and see the videos because we are in a place that's just absolutely fantastic.
Right.
So
maybe you start with that. So
Yeah.
this place is a restaurant that you helped started.
Yeah, I helped get the whole thing going from a concept that we wanted somewhere in Dongguan that was a fun place to come, that was good food, great chef, but also affordable, but most importantly, consistent. Because consistency in this business is really difficult to achieve.
This is you said it's like a fusion Italian American.
Yeah, I
cuisine.
mean you can have Al Capone's meatballs. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean so that's the American part of it.
Right.
But you get spaghetti, so that's the Italian part of it.
Right.
So you can have one of the best hamburgers in Dongguan happens to be done here. We used to do hot dogs, and that didn't quite work out. But so we do get things wrong.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
And just a little bit more about this kind of food business in China. Not that it's your main business, not at all. But you say that right now you have a great ratio of 70% Chinese clients.
Yeah,
30%
70% of our clientele here are now Chinese that have fallen in love with it. They come for breakfast, they come for lunch, they come for dinner. And it just they love it. But I have to say, it's because the foreigners came first.
Right, so the Chinese people see foreigners and then they come in, they know that it's legit, right?
Yes.
But when you said affordable place, right? Some people are watching and listening, they're not in China, they've never been to China even. What is an affordable place in China? A restaurant, like...
How much would you spend
what
for
would
a
someone
meal?
spend here? 100 RMB?
If you spend 150 renminbi, you can get a good pasta, you can get an exceptionally good pizza, you
Right.
can have a Coke or whatever. If you have a glass of wine, obviously the price is going to change a little bit. But then you go to McDonald's, and McDonald's is fantastic. But you can spend 150 renminbi in there also, so...
they have burgers now for 60, 70, so...
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's affordability, but knowing what you're going to get.
It's affordable to what you're getting.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just like...
It's all about, it's great food, it's great service. The environment, the ambience is also... kind of cool. It's a cool place to be.
You're very modest when you say kind of cool. It's extremely cool, Martin. What are you talking about?
Thank you,
Really,
thank
go
you.
to the YouTube video and check out the lamps, check out the decorations on the wall. You were telling us about the decoration on the wall.
Oh, yeah. We decided we were going to not buy posters, which people would normally buy. We decided to hire an artist from Shenzhen. And he used to come. And it's the only artists in Shenzhen. There's a little village where they do paintings by the hundreds of thousands.
Dafang Art Village.
Yeah,
Right,
I mean,
okay.
this is a very famous, world-renowned village for painters. We got the only painter that suffered from vertigo. And he
How,
had,
how high are your ceilings here?
really high. And the
There's
oak-
nothing there.
No,
I guess I know why.
There's no way we could actually get him to do that one.
Yeah.
And we had to have two people here all the time holding on to the bottom of the ladder. Otherwise, he refused to go up.
Right.
And all the paintings that we've got here, it was all done in about 8 days.
What is the reason? I mean, you're a successful person in your business. What's the reason you even got involved in opening a restaurant?
I like somewhere cool to go.
Okay.
And there was nothing around that I found cool enough to satisfy what I wanted.
Okay, so you open a place that you would like to go to.
Yes. And I come every day for the last 3 years.
Makes sense.
But the theme is Fifth Avenue, New York. Why did you go along that theme, or is this something that continued from previous ownership, or what?
No, the previous ownership was flat Italian, just straight Italian. We wanted there was nothing really. Liberty hadn't opened. There was nothing really American as such that people that wanted to get a nice burger or wanted to have a good pasta somewhere different. We have the traditional Italian restaurants.
Yeah.
Of which there are now many. But what Fifth Avenue has done, I believe, is brought that fusion together where it is a fun place to be.
And we see
great
your
chairs.
chairs.
Great
and we see your
chairs,
chairs, right? So
Tell me about this chair, because I've been setting up all the equipment. I just sat down. I'm like, whoa, this is different. So this is inspired by.
Okay, yeah. I was inspired by the driver's seat of a Porsche Cayenne. And I used to drive my Porsche Cayenne every day for about 3 years. And I loved it when I went round the corner that I had the side support in the seat. So when you're sitting down for dinner, you sometimes like to turn and sit like this and face, or turn around and sit like this and face. So it's like a chair that actually hugs you.
Yep.
It's giving you a cuddle.
Yeah.
you designed this chair for the world, not just for the restaurant.
For the entire world.
Yeah, right.
We probably sold, I don't know, 150, 200,000 of these now.
And you are a furniture designer. You have done more than 8,000 items, you told me just
Yeah,
before.
that's right, yeah.
And you are most passionate about chairs.
I love chairs. Tables I have to do, but it's like a I've got
byproduct of a chair.
I've got to do it. Yeah, I'm okay. Push me a little bit, I'll do it.
What is it about chairs?
The vision, the comfort, the colors. I mean, a table is brown or it's blue or whatever. Chairs can be like a Gucci handbag, or they can be like a pair of Fendi shoes. I mean, your cameras can't actually see the shoes I'm wearing today.
They're
I mean, these are
It's fleshy yellow, neon.
fluorescent green.
Right.
And this is where I get my passion for the chair. It's not just somewhere to sit. It's got to have a meaning. It's got to have something that's fashionable today, or it's got to be fun.
If you know your name, Martin Cook, most people will not know this name. Maybe in the industry, furniture industry, some people would know for sure. But what is it that makes, like, we know fashion designers' names, but we don't know people that
design furniture. Or not that many. Outside of the industry, people don't know.
Right.
It's very simple. Branding by retailers belongs to that retailer. So when we do work for, I won't mention a particular customer, but if we do work for them, the amount of money that they've spent branding their company, they want their all their products to be under that brand name. They work closely with me because they know I can give them what their customers want. I don't need any personal recognition for that.
Okay.
The fact is that I get a buzz when I go onto a website. I go, oh yeah, the top 5 chairs, top selling chairs of this customer belong to me.
That's
I get a buzz from that, yes. And I also get a little hit to the bank balance.
Right. So you have a factory
Yes, I do.
You have a factory here in China.
Three.
Three factories here in China, in Dongguan.
Dongguan.
Okay. That you have started 16, you said? 16 years
16
ago?
years ago. Started with the first factory, which was about the size of my garage. Because I didn't know how it was going to work out. I had a partner, Chinese partner, and we had an order for one of my guys in the hotel business. So we had to make this product, and thank goodness that one worked out. It was fine. And then we moved to a bigger place, and then a bigger place. And now the one we're in, the main factory, is now 60,000 square meters.
How many products you sell, yearly or monthly or?
Chairs, I can only talk about chairs.
Okay, chairs.
Tables, I have no interest.
Okay.
Around 160,000 pieces a month.
A month.
A month.
Wow.
It's 220 containers.
It's all for export?
Oh, no, now.
Most.
It used to be completely export. Now 40% probably domestic market.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And is it the same items, or you design specially for the local?
We have to.
They have different posture?
How can I put this politically correctly? We have to take something that works in Europe and then localize it.
Right.
The local market doesn't necessarily like fabric. Because they're worried that their food's going to spill and they can't clean it. So we use PU. They love piping, around the edges of the chair in gold and things like this to reflect wealth. So I have to not redesign, tweak. Is that the right way?
Yeah.
Are you the only designer in your company?
Yeah.
You are. So you design 100% of what you guys make?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And
I have an R&D team of 15 people
Okay.
to back me up.
Yeah.
Because
They
I
know
can't do
stuff.
3D drawings. I can't do all these sort of things. In the old days, I had an idea in the shower in the morning. I'd sketch it, go to the factory, show it to the sample maker, and he would physically make a sample that day, and I'd look at it and say, no, I don't like it. Now I show him the drawing, he then goes into the 3D program, gives me this little model that goes round and round and upside down, and before we even begin to make a sample,
You have
I
an
know
idea.
if I like it or not.
But
So technology's taken over.
we're talking about technology, about making chairs and furniture right now. But why don't we go back to the beginning? Because that's something that's very interesting to me. What got you?
You want to talk about camels?
So you mean his beginning, right? And
Yes,
and
the
what
beginning
led
in
to the
design.
point coming to China? And but the beginning, yeah. How did you go into designing furniture?
As a kid?
As a kid, basically, my dad was an architect, and he used to bring home these models, physical models of stuff he was working on, and we all used to have great fun putting the little pieces in the little rooms to make it look so when he presented it to the client could see furniture inside these little boxes and what have you. And I just got a really nice feel for it. So I decided after my high school, or grammar school as we used to call it in the UK, to enroll for 2 degrees. I did architectural design, which is my real love, and mathematics just in case, because I was actually quite good at it because of my dad and his slide rule, teaching me how to use a slide rule. And I thought if I fail the architectural one, at least I'm in with a really good chance of getting the maths one. So at least I come out of the university with something.
Were you a fashionable person as a young person?
Oh yeah.
Okay, because it must designers, right? I mean,
I was when I had hair, I used to have sort of shoulder length hair. I used to have a mustache. Now I got a little bit of a beard, and wear a blue velvet jacket and black jeans.
Okay,
and,
so
Groovy baby.
yeah, it was groovy back in the 60s, yeah.
right.
Or 70s. No, let's be kind. The 60s. Yeah. So from that, I think I got a love for all things colourful.
Yeah.
And how to mix colours, and how to accentuate colour with shape. Because this chair that you're sitting on now looks really horrible in black. because all the lines of the chair just disappear. You can't see them. So you have to have the right color to go with the right shape to make the right chair.
Right. And from university, let's talk about first employers, big breaks, things like that.
My first employer was a hotel company called Trust House Forte in the UK, and they built hotels in motorway service stations, off major highways, and these hotel rooms were all designed for traveling salesmen. Because in those days, there was no internet, and a fax machine hadn't been invented. So if you wanted to go out and get business, you had to jump in your car and drive from city to city to city. You'd leave Monday morning, come back Friday night. The owners of Trust House decided to make it a home from home experience. So every single room in every single 170 of these hotels was identical.
Oh.
So when you arrived, you'd been on the road all day, you knew where you were. You just didn't know which city you were in.
And that was your first job?
That was the very first job.
And you designed only chairs?
Only the chairs, yeah.
Only the chairs
From
for
the beginning, it's
From the
only been
beginning.
chairs.
Yeah.
That's very unique.
Wow, so like every room of those hotels, they had what, a couple of chairs?
A couple of chairs, then the restaurants, the
right.
lobby, then you had the sofas and the banquettes to put in.
And what happens after it's done?
You
They
move on to
don't
the
need
next
to
one.
employ a furniture designer constantly, right?
They evolved because Trust House Forte also were part then of the Forte Hotel Empire, which is one of the most famous old brands. I mean, back in Italy, it was one of the big old brands. And you always found something that needed to be done, and the minute you opened one property, you were already starting to refurb another one.
Okay.
Because the wear and tear on these rooms was phenomenal.
I didn't even think that, I mean, I know some people doing furniture and some people work with hotels, right? I always thought that, when those companies, those brands, they need something with furniture, there are other companies they cooperate with, I didn't know that they actually employ full-time furniture designers.
I mean, if you look at the hotel sector, the reason they have furniture designers, they have lighting specialists, they have the bar fitting out people.
Employed full-time.
Employed full-time by the company, because other than design yourself, it means you have to go to a supplier and buy what they got. And if it doesn't fit in the concept that they want, it's never going to work.
Yeah.
Hotels, a lot of work goes into a hotel room. When you check into a hotel, if you spend 2 minutes in your room just looking around at the detail that's gone into that room,
Right.
Yeah.
it's quite unique.
Is it still like that? Hotels
Exactly the same today.
hotels employ full-time, but they also buy furniture from others. It's like a lot of
hotel companies now will hire outside designers to come up with concept, and we receive the concept from that designer, and we have then got to change it to make it workable. Because
To execute it.
Yeah, because otherwise, there's no point in designing something that's non-manufacturable. If you can't make it, what's the point of designing it?
And there is an interior designer there too, and
And then you've got to get the lighting again,
Yeah.
and the guy who puts the paintings on the wall, and the carpets have all got to match, and it's a huge job.
right.
Yeah.
So you something I guess you keep doing. Do you keep selling to the hotels?
Love
today?
it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's still an old passion of mine, and I work with some great people that really are more involved in this than I do. I manufacture for them. But going from that extreme, with the traveling salesman, I was recruited by EuroDisney in Paris,
Okay.
and they had a project that this world will never, ever, ever see again. It was the biggest thing Europe as a continent had ever seen. No one had ever attempted this. 6 hotels, 6,500 rooms, plus a theme park.
You were saying there is how many restaurants?
220 restaurants.
What year was it?
It opened in 1992.
How long did it took them to build it?
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah, I did the last 2. I did 1990 to 92. Just after opening, I left.
And you say that how many chairs did they need?
Oh, millions. I mean,
Of chairs.
Yeah,
For EuroDisney.
For EuroDisney.
For the hotel, the restaurants.
But there's a really nice story attached to the opening. As I say, 6,500 rooms. Disney don't do things by halves. You know, when they do something, they're really going to do it. So they organized the opening event. The 6 hotels were 100% occupied, every room occupied. The theme park opened on the same evening, live on TV to the whole of Europe. Each hotel had a band that was playing in the gardens of their hotel. I got stuck in the hotel called Hotel New York. Maybe this is where I get Fifth Avenue, I don't know. And we had, you guys are too young, but we had 2 bands called The Temptations and The Four Tops.
The Temptations.
I think I heard about the Temptations,
Okay.
yeah.
And The Four Tops. I mean, these are real Tamla Motown
Yeah.
legends, absolute legends.
Yeah.
In Disney, you also don't actually have a job title. They can ask you to do anything they want you to do. So I got seconded into the buffet area, and it was being sponsored by Tattinger Champagne. And my job was to pour champagne for the guests. And as soon as the music started playing, I said, to heck with this. I'm not pouring champagne. I want to listen to music. So anybody that came up got a whole bottle. Take it away.
Pour it yourself.
Yeah.
Wow.
There you go.
So you worked for Disney for these 2 years coming up to opening the EuroDisney, and
Yeah.
then what happened then? You made all the chairs.
Then they sent me, Disney that is, I'm not sure if it was a promotion or a punishment. They sent me to Florida.
To the original, what is it, Disney World?
No,
or
they sent me to Epcot Center.
Disneyland? Epcot Center.
Yeah,
okay.
which is one of the other Disney parks. And they had a pub in the middle of the Disney park called the Rose and Crown. And it's the only park that Disney own where you can actually drink alcohol inside the park.
Okay.
Because it was in the British Pavilion, and a British pavilion without a pub
Right.
doesn't work.
Okay.
A pub not selling beer doesn't work. So I had to do the refurb, and that's where my first entree into China came.
Right. So you had to. So I was asking you before. This is a pub. You're telling me it's a pub, and again, they design their own. They're not just going and buying furniture from someone else. They're going to design their own. So you came to China, you said, but why?
Well, they sent me because American furniture was getting really expensive at that time.
Okay.
The word China was starting to come up on the radar a little bit even then.
Okay.
And they said, okay, off you go. Here's your ticket, Mr. Cook. See you in 3 months.
1994.
Yeah.
Coming to China for the first time.
Ho
Where
Jie.
did you land? Oh, Ho Jie.
No, I landed in the old Bayonne Guangzhou airport, the one that you had to fly through 2 mountains to get to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Scary experience. And I remember getting off the plane and walking through the arrivals, and it can only be described as an ant farm. I have never seen so many people in one place in my entire life.
Not even at Disney.
No. I mean, Disney, okay, you've got different heights, and you have blondes, and you have brunettes, and you have redheads. All I saw was this mass of black heads.
Right. And then
They sent me to Ho Jie.
The Ho Jie, which is there was a lot of furniture there. There's still.
In those days, on the rare occasion you'd come across another foreigner, the first question you'd ask each other, furniture or shoes?
Right.
That was it.
That
in
was
Dongguan.
it. In Dongguan.
Yes, furniture and shoes. Right.
Furniture or shoes. So stuck in Ho Jie, made the furniture.
How was it? 94. Coming into Ho Jie town in Dongguan. You went to the
Language.
factory. It was a big one. Big factory or Chinese people?
Chinese. Nobody spoke a word.
How did you manage it?
They gave me a translator, and if I can put this the polite way, my Urdu is better than her English was. You know, it was terrible. I mean, everything was guesswork. Complete and utter guesswork. You go back to this hotel that was on the main street of Hoje. I mean, bearing in mind then there's no McDonald's, there's no Starbucks, there is
No.
nothing.
Right.
You come down in the morning for breakfast, fried rice or noodles. That was it. No, I don't like that. And you,
No internet.
no, the internet, I don't think it had been invented.
Right.
Really, it was that basic. You go to the restaurant in the evening, and they used to take you out, the people from the factory, and try to impress you. I don't know what it is with Chinese factory owners, who are in the furniture business at least. They think the best way to impress you is giving you fish head soup.
Right.
And you look at this bowl of dishwater with a fish's head looking up at you like this, with his one eye closed.
And like, here.
Yeah. I knew you were the guest of honor.
So no internet, no Western TV channels in the hotel.
Nothing. Well, not that I could find
and
anyway.
barely any English.
Anywhere.
Anywhere.
How did you manage to carry on? How were you? Were you not like, hey, I'm coming back, this is not going to work?
Well, no, I thought about it and thought, well, the sooner I can get this project finished, the sooner I can get back to some form of normality, even if it was Florida. I mean, Florida was tame compared to Hoje, you know. I mean, Florida's a bit strange as well. And got the project finished. All got shipped in containers and arrived back in Disney. And it was an unmitigated disaster.
Why?
The quality was obscene.
Was it the materials that they were using? Was it the manufacturing? Was it the instructions were not followed? What happened?
A combination of all that put together, I think.
But didn't you see the furniture before they were?
Well, they showed me what they wanted me to see. I
see.
couldn't physically check. I mean,
Okay.
that wasn't in my brief to physically check each chair and sit on it and make sure it was okay.
Right.
The bill for Disney Epcot to put it right was about 4 times more than the cost of the furniture.
So it has to be fixed in the US.
It had to be fixed in the US. Yeah. We had to bring a whole team of carpenters in and basically not remake, but almost remake every single chair, bar stool, sofa.
What? Anything from that 3 months? We say that it was difficult. Anything you positively remember being in China in that year for 3 months?
Not a thing.
No, really?
Not one thing.
But
Other than leaving from Bayonne Airport again.
so many years after, and you're still here. So, what brought you back, and what has kept you here? I mean,
Yeah, you
maybe
finished
we're
those-
jumping, but you finished those chairs, and
Then what? What happened next?
Then I went to South Africa to work for a company called Sun International Hotels. And their crown jewel was a place called Sun City, which was then the gambling capital of Africa. It was wasn't part of South Africa. It was at a place called Bophuthatswana, and it was ruled by a king called Lucas Mugabe. I never forget that because I met him 2 times, and this was like a little province within a country. Its own rules applied.
like an autonomous region.
Yeah.
Yeah, with gold plating. Because this was a hell of a resort. I mean, it really was. And I got involved in doing a hotel refurb there. During that time, I was living in Johannesburg, and we were coming up at that time to Mr. Mandela, God bless him, being released from jail and moving off Robben Island and coming back into prominence again. And all the staff of Sun City, 99% of them were local, and the rest were Europeans, some Americans, but mostly Europeans. And when Mr. Mandela was released, it was joyful. I mean, it was absolutely incredible. But we had 2 general strikes and a coup during that time, where They weren't sure which way the government was going to go. It all history worked out. It was fine. It was scary at that time.
How long you stayed there?
I managed to get out after 18 months.
18 months.
Yeah, I couldn't take it anymore. It really was.
The pressure,
pressure.
Okay.
They gave me one last job to do, which was a hotel in Cape Town called Table Bay. A beautiful, beautiful property. And they wanted it done in a Victorian era decoration. And I said, guys, this is just not me. I don't do Victorian. And I parted my way and decided after all that harassment, I needed a break. So I took 6 months off, and a friend of mine who was a skipper of a rather beautiful yacht in the Caribbean called me and said, Martin, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm thinking of taking a break. He said, okay, come and work with us on the yacht. I said, okay. We need a butler. We need an English butler for 6 months. So I said, okay. The pay was amazing. The owner of the yacht was then the chairman and CEO of the Amway Corporation. So the yacht was
A small thing.
yeah, I couldn't row it, put it that way. And we did the Caribbean for 6 months. Then I decided it's time to go back to work, and with a pocket full of money. Went then to Spain, to Marbella, where I was doing a golf resort and timeshare complex. From there, I finished that one, went to Mallorca, became a radio DJ on an English radio station.
Oh, no.
No, English radio station. And then, it was time to get back to doing some work.
But okay, all these gigs
Sorry.
that you did for Disney and then South Africa, those must have been very well paid gigs.
Yeah, they were exceptionally well paid, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's
I
what
have no
afforded.
complaints,
That's
no.
what afforded the DJing.
I could
time.
take 6 months out and really not worry that much at that time.
Yeah.
The idea wasn't to do the DJ thing. The idea was to lie on the beach for 6 months. And after 5-6 days of lying on the beach, I picked up the Palmer Times, I think they called it, the local English newspaper. And there was an advertisement in there, radio DJ required. So I applied. Yep, and they gave me a sound test and did this. And it was just fun.
So you've been an expat all your life, basically. I mean, place to
Yeah,
place.
since I came out of nappies, basically, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, was it leaving UK behind? Was it a natural thing for you?
I've always had, how can you put it, a spirit of adventure. And Wales, where I come from, has a population of 3.5 million people. It's very insular, I go back, obviously, and I go into the pub with my brother or one of my brothers, and it seems like the same people are sitting on the same bar stool as they were the year before. They don't do anything. And I can't. I need to do things.
Yeah, you can't sit in one place.
No, I can't. I just need to, get challenged. And if I'm not challenged,
So from the skipper and the DJing in Spain, was it back to China or?
via Thailand, as most people do. I did try to open a furniture factory in Thailand, which was an absolute disaster. My staff used to finish at 4:30 on a Thursday, and I'd be lucky to see them by 9 a.m. on a Tuesday. So I thought this is probably not a good idea.
Why did you want to open a factory?
Because people were the contacts that I had in the hotel business, especially, were really keen for me to do stuff and find alternative places to produce. Thailand was never ever gonna work. So from Thailand I came here.
To Ho Chi Minh again, or?
No. I was civilized this time. I stayed in Guangzhou.
Guangzhou.
Guangzhou, yeah.
What year was that then?
This would have been 1999.
1999. So
Yeah.
you're back in China.
Yeah.
Were you like, oh my
And I
God,
haven't left
I
since.
don't know, is this going to be again the same as 94?
No, I stayed in a nice hotel.
Okay.
Yeah, where at least they had a semblance of English.
They had BBC on TV maybe.
I think they had CNN at
CNN,
that time.
okay.
I don't BBC was there. But they had, you could have a sandwich. You could order a sandwich. What you got was never quite what you expected to get. A
Right.
club sandwich.
But it was in the menu.
But it was on the menu, a club sandwich, and then some strange thing would turn up.
So it's progress from 94. Yeah.
But there's another one, the White Swan Hotel in
White Swan Hotel is famous.
in
right?
Shamian.
The island.
The island, yeah.
Yeah.
And there used to be a bar called Lucy's around the corner, and they had a big outside terrace. I taught them how to make a club sandwich, because even the White Swan couldn't do it. In the kitchen, how you do this, then you put the cocktail sticks in.
So 1999, you came back to China.
Yeah.
And you haven't left since.
Well, I've left.
Yeah, you left for
no, I
traveling,
hadn't.
but yeah.
Only for
All
traveling.
right, so let's take a break and we talk about the China years right
Yeah.
after.
Mr. Martin Cook, welcome back to the show. So we were talking about you coming back to China in 1999 to start your factories and your China life. So tell us a little bit about that bit.
Guangzhou.
Guangzhou. The first thing I did when I arrived in Guangzhou was bought a school.
You what?
I bought a school,
Okay.
What kind of school?
an English language school
In Guangzhou?
in Guangzhou, and this is the coup de grace. The school was, the training center, it wasn't a real school, the training center was inside what was then the premier English language university in Guangzhou, called Guangwai, out by the old Bayonne
Okay.
airport. And I managed to get a building inside there, and I knew nothing about schools.
Was it an investment or what was it? Why?
It was just something to do,
Okay.
because the furniture thing would take me out to Hojie 3 days a week or whatever. So I hired 4 native English speakers to do the classes and do all the work. And it was the most unique English language inside the university.
Uh-huh.
And the students would come out of their English class, where if they were lucky, they'd get maybe half an hour a week with a native English speaker.
Yeah.
They'd have to walk past this place, and we had the 4 teachers, and they could sign up for a 3-hour course or a 6-hour course or whatever. And it was fun.
You still have this school?
No, I sold it
You sold it.
to the university.
Ah, okay. So you said you were going to Hojie 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Your intention was to open a factory, right? You said you failed in Thailand.
Yep.
And you came to China. Did you open a factory right away?
Not immediately, no. I worked with 3 or 4 different factories, trying to piece together some sense of quality, some sense of normality. That lasted for 2 years.
And you were making furniture for different clients
Different
around
clients
the world.
around the world, yeah.
Yeah.
Then I went into one factory, and it showed promise. It really did show that they maybe could take it to a level that I would be happy to, supply my customers.
What was the element that showed you promise?
I think was their willingness to, if they got it wrong, they'd put it right,
Uh-huh.
not argue.
Responsibility.
Yeah, responsibility is a great word.
Accountability.
Accountability is a great word. But also
Humility.
putting your hand up and saying, okay, we screwed up, we got it wrong. What do we need to do to put it right?
They wanted to learn.
They wanted to learn. I mean, this factory, an upholstery factory, the guys on the upholstery line used to wear jackets and trousers, like a suit, to work. I mean, I'm not joking. They didn't come in a uniform. They wore their best clothes to go to work. And this was just like really freaked me.
So that was in Hojie.
In Hojie, yeah.
And have you visited the old 94 factory?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were still in business.
Yep.
They got better.
No.
No. You were trying to work with them
No.
again. Did you give them another chance?
No. No.
No.
No. There was a lady working there that had to put up with me because she was the only person that could really even try to communicate in English with me. And in those days, even her English was not 100%.
And in those days, how did you communicate with the clients? I mean, was it already the emails or?
The emails were starting, albeit in a very small way. I still have my first email account, believe it or not, from
Yahoo or something like that?
Yahoo,
Okay.
UK,
Okay.
and it's my full name.
Yes.
Because in those days, I mean,
Right.
now you have to do Martin Cook number 9864
Yeah,
or something,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But I've got Martin J. Cook,
Right.
which is J is my middle initial, and it was starting to come together.
Faxes still?
Were still
Yeah.
the way.
I remember having
Forward.
a fax here in my first time.
I still have one.
remember. Okay, talking about technology back in the days, in 2002 or 2003, the first Palm Top.
The Palm, yes.
I didn't go down that road.
The first
Ooh.
smart
No.
device in your hands.
Yeah.
Like I open it and it had a
Yeah.
camera. And
Right.
you could take pictures and make video. That thing was insane.
Wow, you are so much more advanced.
How
It was
long?
3 years after you.
I had a Nokia
Nokia, yes. Well,
that was
made in Dongguan, probably.
Yeah, probably it was on Dongguan Dadao.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Nanchang.
In Nanchang, yeah.
Yeah.
And this thing made phone calls, received phone calls, and if you were
Drop it from a
able
third
to do
floor.
3 clicks for a B or C or whatever
Yes.
it was, you could send a message.
And
Yeah.
it lasts forever. It's like a tank.
Yeah, you can do anything you want with it, but
Yeah.
that's all it did. But yeah, communicating. Anyway, I met this person after I think 6 months, 7 months, maybe 8 months of pure frustration of trying to get this product, to a quality. I said to her one evening, I said, look, the only thing we can do is we'll start our own company. You can be the Chinese partner. I'll be the person that supplies the designs, the customers,
control.
the quality control. And it was tiny. This factory was tiny. And it was one of those Chinese moments where, what have I done?
What have I
You know,
got to myself
What
into?
why am I doing this? Working from 6 in the morning till 10 at night, 7 days a week, because customers in those days would arrive. They didn't care it was a Sunday. They didn't care it was a Saturday afternoon
This is
or 10
Skyline
o'clock on
Road.
a Wednesday evening. I'm coming to the factory. You had to be there. And we filled it. It worked. And then we went into a bigger one. And I had my second what am I doing thought in my head. How the heck am I going to fill this one? Because this one was twice the size of the first one. And I said, Martin,
Hang on.
brave. Be brave. You can do it. And luckily, with the help of people in China and with the help of some great people outside China who supported me, we actually got this factory full. And that one was full in 9 months.
9 months.
9 months. We were literally, you couldn't find a square centimeter in a corner to do anything.
It was chairs?
All chairs,
All chairs.
plus some tables.
What do you remember from back then, like that maybe is different now?
In those days, there were no labor laws. I think that comes. I'm not saying it's right. It was correct. It wasn't correct, but the labor laws were a little bit easier.
Right.
If you needed people to work until 11 o'clock at night, you paid them, of course.
Right.
But there was no records on computers about when the labor department come in.
Your regulated hours.
Regulated hours and
Do you remember the salaries? The salaries was
My
so
goodness,
much
yeah.
cheaper than now.
an upholsterer that used to work. One of my best upholsterers had a basic salary of 1,750 RMB.
And that
a
was
month.
good then.
And that was great. He
Yeah,
was
he was
over
happy.
the
And
moon.
the same person today is what, 10, 15?
Yeah,
15,000?
somewhere in the upper tens. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But you know what? This guy still works for me
Really?
Wow.
to this day.
Wow.
To this day.
He must be good.
He's really good. And he knows that he doesn't have to worry at the end of the month he's going to get paid. He doesn't have to worry about the food in the canteen not being edible. He doesn't have to worry about accommodation or anything. And he's still there today.
How does someone like that, there's so many people in China in manufacturing, workers, right? And upholster need to have certain skills, certain things he needs to learn. How do they start? Usually it's just learning on the job, and maybe they find out they're good and then they get better. What is it?
Well, this particular guy that we're talking about came to me from a shoe factory.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And he was a sample maker in a shoe factory, so he was used to being able to stretch stuff and tack it and sew it. And his adaptation from shoes to chairs was an easier route because he had the basic hand skills, he had the basic eye skills that he could do it. Okay, he's had a few misses, yes, of course.
Yeah.
But generally, it was his willingness to want to do it. And I think in those days you didn't have the training that we have these days, the technology that we have. You had people skills, and he liked me. Couldn't speak a word of English, but he liked me.
What are the most important jobs in a furniture factory?
Tables.
Tables.
You're making tables is far more important because I can't do it.
No, but I mean,
No,
like, for
sorry.
the positions, for the people, what's the most important positions in a furniture factory?
You can't really differentiate that way. Okay, my R&D team, we have a guy that makes the chairs that you guys are sitting on are metal frames. They're not made from wood, they're made from metal. So the sample making department that makes the frames has very little to do with the sample makers that do the upholstery, because their skill set is really, really different, completely different. But then you have the guys who do stitching. If the stitching goes out, the whole chair's gone out.
Right.
If you have the guy who is putting the foot caps, at the bottom of a chair, you have plastic foot caps.
Yeah.
We pack 2 chairs in a carton. You receive those chairs, you open the carton, you open the box, the first thing you see is foot caps. If they're scratched and dirty, your whole concept, your whole joy of buying that product has gone out the window. So one of the first things we did was in the final cleaning and packing department, we carpeted it. We covered it all in carpet. So when
that
they're
the foot
moving the
caps,
chairs around, they're not getting scratched. And it was those simple things that people, I get it. I understand why, because claims started going down.
Yeah.
Claims go down, profit goes up.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's a simple mathematical, going back to my maths days, it's a very, very simple calculation.
Do they still make furniture in the traditional countries that they made them before? Like, or is it less and less, like Europe?
I mean, Italy used to be the center of the universe to the furniture industry. There was a town in north of Venice called Udine, and Udine was probably responsible for more than 50, maybe even more than 50% of the world's production of wooden chairs. China started to grow, and there's now only 3, maybe 4 factories left in Udine.
What about your relationship with local government as you started to set up these factories? Has there been an evolution in how they handle your business, for example?
It's got a lot more transparent, which I think is wonderful. In the beginning, the days of the Hongbao are now long behind us. They're gone. We get regulated at the main factory. We have the local government once, maybe even twice a month come in. We get checked for air pollution. We get checked for water quality. They're doing, in my opinion, they're doing a fantastic job, and full credit to them. The one thing that my partner did that changed the whole thing was she opened an office within the factory for the local party.
Okay.
So we now have a local party office for the whole of Hongmei inside our factory. So when the government come, the first thing they do is they go to the party office, not party
At
as
the
in
factory.
dancing.
Yeah, the
government.
The government,
party.
yeah. And that made clarity much better.
But what do you mean it's an office for the party there? Like, do they there are
drink
people
tea.
there? No, it's like the place where they can come to when they need to come to the
Yes.
factory.
No,
No, for the whole district.
the whole
area.
district. If
Their
somebody
That is their
there.
base.
is inside my
It's
factory,
Right.
outside
provided.
your factory.
yeah. So
Okay.
if somebody has a grievance with the local housing department or the local water department,
They'll come to that
they'll
office,
come
which
to
is
our
in the
factory.
Sorry, for people who don't know much about China, you mentioned the word hongbao. Hongbao is it's basically a red envelope, and it used to be how you handle bribes. Like, here's a present for you. That has basically disappeared. I mean,
I wouldn't say totally disappeared, but yes.
well,
it's
in the
almost.
way it used to be.
Yes.
Now families and whatnot in France, but with government,
It's not just government
processes.
though. The Hongbao issues. It's private sector too.
sure,
you know,
like
bribes. Yeah.
purchasing
We're
manager,
not allowed to
yeah.
use that word, Mr. Ziv.
Like a purchasing manager, for example, will get
Yeah.
a kickback from somebody
Yeah.
just for choosing that
Right.
particular product. So
Okay.
that's
In
what
In
Hongbaos were
some
about.
businesses.
You talk about a purchasing manager.
Yeah.
We would advertise in one of these job company things, and maybe we needed 2 welding guys, maybe we needed an upholstery or 2 upholstery people, somebody in the office, and an assistant purchasing manager. We would get maybe 3 replies for the other jobs. For the purchasing manager's job, you'd get 150 people applying.
Right.
Yeah.
150 people applying for a
And
job that
you
paid
wonder
less than
why.
2,000.
Yeah, but I'm sure that you had ways to avoid those kind of issues, because once
We all got
once you
caught.
take a Hongbao back there in the day, you are owned by
You're beholden.
yes. So you will slowly hurt your own company, your own boss, by accepting things that you shouldn't accept in terms of quality of the products you're buying, right?
Is the short term.
It was the only way to
strategy.
do business.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I'm blunt, but that was the only way
Yeah.
to do business.
But I mean, if it's done under the nose of the company,
Never,
that's a
ever.
bad thing. That's a bad thing. There's so many ways to look at it. But back to the office of the party. So, is it normal to do something like that? To have an office for the government inside the factory?
I don't know.
You just offered it. You just said like, hey, would you like?
I
guys
just
like
furnished
to have
it.
a-
Are you guys a big company in that town?
Yeah,
You are.
yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, we're one of the biggest employers in the town.
taxpayers also.
And we pay tax, eh?
Yeah.
I mean, the government
They
makes
love
sure
you.
you pay
oh
tax.
yeah, for sure. So that's you're very important for them.
We have a car from a local tax guy, parks outside the factory gates 3 times a week, counting the number of containers that are leaving the factory.
Oh wow, they're really putting an eye close.
Yeah. So if we say, okay, oh, it's been a bad month, we only did 100 containers. Well, how come you did 150 up until this date?
Right.
So it's
And this is different than before, right?
much,
Right.
and it's better.
Yeah, it's the right way.
It's correct, 100% correct.
we've been here for a long time. We've seen manufacturing moving away. I guess in furniture, in the furniture industry, it's similar, right?
It is very similar, especially based on the lower end of the market.
Yeah.
If people are dealing with IKEA, and I have no beef with IKEA, I mean, I love IKEA, but if people are manufacturers are dealing with the IKEAs of the world, their margins are controlled by IKEA.
Right.
They're not controlled by reality.
But they cannot keep up. It's
No.
not like your kind of business. It's
No.
different.
So I made the conscious decision many years ago to stay out of what we call the bottom feeder market, where you're making a chair that's going to retail for $5. I couldn't even put one leg on a chair for $5.
So it's similar to the shoe industry,
Yeah.
right? In a way, because China has gotten so good with manufacturing
Yeah.
that if you need to manufacture something that is cheap, and the quality can be less than others products, then you may move to Vietnam, Cambodia, whatever, right? But I think if you are making high quality products, you have to stay here now, because this is they make things with high quality now.
They do make, I mean, we do make things with a high quality, but we also have all the logistics in place. We have infrastructure in place. We have everything sold. Supply chain in place. So if I want to make a chair, I can go to Hojie, walk down Furniture Road, and buy every single component from maybe 10 different stores, take it back, hand it to the sample makers, and make a chair. Vietnam, Malaysia, Cambodia are not there yet.
And that is something that takes a very long time to develop.
It's taken 20 odd years.
So this idea of decoupling from China, how realistic is it in
It's
your...
not going to happen. I see people who have tried to go the cheaper route. They have come back and said it was a wrong decision.
Yeah.
The money that we thought we were saving has lost us our customer base.
Wow.
Because the quality is not the same. You get delays, you get sudden price changes, you get all sorts of things going on. Whereas if you come to Euro Home Living, which is me, you know what you're getting. And if you don't get what you think you're getting, we'll replace it. There's no argument.
But to combat the rising costs, you have done things that help you.
Oh, yeah.
For example, I want to talk about the automation,
Oh, yeah.
because you have told me,
Me and my robots.
yeah. So how did you go about doing that? Like, we hear a lot these days about automation and manufacturing related. How did you do that? And
Okay, if you go back to the earlier part where we were chatting about my diversity of doing different things, we went about it in a completely different way. Normally, if you're looking for automation within furniture, you find somebody that's in the furniture industry to do the automation. Or if you're in the shoe business, you find a shoe person. We went a completely different way. We hired an automation engineer from Nissan. They know more about robots than we'll ever dream of knowing about robots. And we hired this guy, and he heads up automation, and he's put 5 robots that he specified because he worked with them at Nissan.
the foreigner.
No, Chinese.
Okay.
And he gets these robots doing things that robots I don't even think are capable of doing. I mean, I walk in there, it's mind-blowing. Then he looked at the way we're cutting metal for the legs of chairs. We're doing it the old way with a saw, basically. Yeah, he brought in a laser cutting tunnel that you just have 2 guys feeding the metal in. It's pre-programmed to cut X number of legs for the front, X number of legs for the back, and out they come the other end. But this has come from the car industry. Because you have to identify which industry offers you the most expertise outside the business that you're doing. So looking at it from a different angle is the way I think many factories have got it wrong. They're traditionally looking, oh, this guy is good, he's been working there. This guy is good, he's been working there. No new concepts are coming in.
What is the economic principle? I mean, to me, it sounds a little bit contradictory. I mean, you have China with a 1.4 billion people population. Those people need jobs. When you bring in automation, you're, well, lowering costs and producing probably more because they don't need to rest, or a lot less than people. How do governments balance that? How do companies justify automation when you have a population that actually needs to be employed? Where do those workers go?
I mean, that is a huge question. I can only speak from my factory.
Sure.
Since automation has come, we have increased productivity by 45%. I have not laid off one worker. I still have exactly the same number of people.
Okay.
But you increase
Doing
productivity.
different
what
jobs.
are they doing? Okay.
You retrain. I was talking to Ziv earlier on. My HR budget is quite large, and 82% of that budget is on training and retraining. So if we see upholstery cannot be done by a robot. It needs touch, it needs hands, it needs experience. Okay, welding can be done by robots, painting can be done by robots, but you still need to have the people. And if you get good people that have been with you for years, I believe in investing in those people to retrain them so that they can retain the fact that they like working for Euro Living, which is the main factory that we have. And these people have grown. To give you an example, 3 years ago, the worker committee, I have to do this meeting 2 times a year, and I sat there, and the leader of the worker committee came in and said, look, via translation obviously, would it be possible for us to have air conditioning in our dormitories, because now it's getting really, really hot and we're having trouble sleeping, and our productivity is going down. And because our productivity is going down, our salaries are going down. So, if we could come to some arrangement, this would really, really be beneficial to us and beneficial to you. So I met with my partner, and she said, yeah, I agree. What we'll do is we'll put air conditioning into every dormitory, but the tenants or workers within that dormitory pay the electric, so they don't keep the thing running 24/7 when there's nobody around. Went back to the committee and said, look, this is what we suggest. We'll happily put the air conditioning in, but you must, decide when to turn it on, because you're going to be paying. Over the moon.
How many employees do you have?
In the main one, just over 600.
Okay.
Which is quite a responsibility.
Yes.
if I'm honest.
I think no podcast with somebody like you would be complete without asking about 2020.
Great year.
How?
Okay, this is the
People
most...
sit at home, they buy
Yeah.
furniture.
Oh, true.
Okay, all our online customers who only do online presence, not bricks and mortar presence. There's one in Germany called Westwing, which is a very famous online company. Their sales in 2020 through to now are up 350%. And speaking to the CEO the other day, and I said, look, what the heck's going on? He's pushing me for deliveries, he wants quicker, he wants fire. He said, Martin, people put their kids to bed at 9 o'clock. Their busiest time for purchases are from 9:30 p.m. until midnight. The husband and the wife, they can't go on holiday, no vacations, the restaurants are all closed, they don't need to buy new shoes because there's nowhere to go, they don't need a new handbag. Oh, let's change the sofa. Or
Where are we spending so much time?
where
these
we're
days?
spending all the growth market for home office chairs, where people who are working at home want a chair that's got the function of an office chair. In other words, it goes up and down and it swivels, but they don't want it to look like an office chair. They want it to look like part of the furniture from the home. We're seeing huge increases now in home office.
But there were a lot of different effects, right, during this year. There was no trade shows, maybe.
I did two, which ended up being domestic shows.
Right, and
And it's 40% local market.
shipments maybe went up, more expensive.
Luckily for me, that's not one of my problems.
Okay, the clients pay for that.
Yeah, we only do FOB.
You only do FOB. Okay, so freight on board. Okay, you don't need to be responsible.
So
for that.
it's up to them to negotiate with the shipping companies to get the best deal.
So that year was good. It's still going on now. Like
It's still
you're
going on,
maintaining
yeah.
the growth.
There is no end in sight as I see it right now.
Right.
I think the unfortunate thing is that the travel is not going to come back this year. I don't think I'll see an overseas customer until next year, maybe next March at the Guangzhou Fair.
All right. Let's talk about living here for you.
McDonald's.
And the last 20 years. You are a little bit late in life. You are a father now. You have a family here.
Very,
you have
very
two
happy
children.
dad. Yeah.
Right. You are. Would you say you are? Are you semi-retired? Are you or just working on your own schedule? Or
Yeah, I'm working on my own schedule.
Okay.
And the last 3 months I've been doing stuff with other people. And I've actually worked harder in the last 3 months than I have done in the last 3 years.
Okay.
Trying to motivate and create new areas to go into. So yeah, my own time. I wake up very early every morning. Normally by 7 a.m. I finished. I've managed to do everything I need to do. Then the day's mine. You know, if I decide to go to a meeting or decide to come for lunch or whatever, it's up to me. But at 4 o'clock, I'm there for the kids.
would you recommend people to come live in China?
Yeah.
2021.
Yeah, 2022 would be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why should people consider China?
China's given me more than I've given China, if I'm brutally honest. I think what I've achieved in China could not have been achieved anywhere else in the world. You know, when I go back in time again, the very, very first foreigner I met that wasn't just flying in to buy and then flying back out was our good friend Miguel. And Miguel was working in the Hyatt Hotel.
Right, in the Hyatt. The fake
not,
Hyatt.
not the Hyatt, yeah, the Hyatt in Hongdae. And I had a group of people who were having dinner, and he was able to walk around and speak, I think, 7 different languages to all the people that were around the table. And since then, Miguel and I have come a long way. His success is exceptional. I mean, he's done a great job.
Yeah, we will put the link to the podcast we did with Miguel in the footnotes and here on the screen, by the way. So.
Yeah, because I think that's really important. Because Miguel is a lovely, lovely, lovely guy. I mean, when he opened the extension, because the first one was very, very small.
The small one, the middle one.
The middle
yes,
one, yeah. And you used to go on a Friday evening for pizza roundup, and I'd be like the only non-Brazilian person
Right.
in the line, because you had to line up to get in.
Yeah.
And then he took the next store, and the night before, the night of opening, I am actually in his restaurant laying out knives and forks and glasses, you know, because you supported people, you know,
Yeah.
you did. And Calzone was the first real Western place you could eat.
So was that a turning point? Was
Oh,
that
it's
life
huge.
started to get better?
Yeah, and then came
Living here.
Sahara.
Yeah, Sahara. It's a restaurant you were involved with.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about Sahara
After
after this very short break.
Okay.
All right. So we were about to introduce Sahara. What is Sahara?
Sahara used to be, it's no longer there, a Middle Eastern restaurant with a twist. I mean, half the food wasn't Middle Eastern. It was a mix. Even I cooked roast beef and Yorkshire pudding there one time, and it was just one of these weird off-the-wall places with a great guy, Frank from Hollywood Baby. We were in it together, and we came to the second anniversary. Now, what you must remember in those days, Mumbai had just literally finished being built. There was no street lighting.
The residential garden.
The residential
right.
garden, Mumbai. Opposite where is now the computer center was nothing. There was nothing there at all.
Right, it was flat.
Flat.
Yeah, the computer
Completely flat. And we had this restaurant called Sahara, and the logo of Sahara was a camel, obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's got to be.
And dunes and
So
yeah.
we were trying to work out what we were going to do for the second anniversary party. It never lasted after the second anniversary, by the way, but it was the second anniversary party. And we had a German manager called David Hutchinson, and he lived, strange enough, up the hill from Mumbai going towards Pizzeria Calzone, where you go up that hill to the roundabout. And he is now he opened up the restaurant, and he was doing something, and he needed to go home to prepare for the evening. And he's walking up the hill, and there's this little Chinese guy walking down the hill with a camel.
the middle of the city.
I am not jesting. This is 100% true, and he knows it's true, Mr. Ziv. The camel, he booked the guy to come to the restaurant that evening and give camel rides outside the restaurant up and down. And you've got it in here, Dongguan, pictures of it.
I will try to find a picture and put on the screen right now. If you are listening, go to YouTube again.
Because no one would believe it.
What's a camel doing in Dongguan?
We never found out. But the guy ate very well that night. The camel was happy. He got some money in his pocket. And the customers all loved it.
How much was it?
I really can't remember. It was
It
probably a
wasn't,
couple of
the
hundred.
camel wasn't from Taobao.
No, the camel was real.
Nowadays you see this guy walking with a llama.
No.
Around the
walks.
Dongguan.
Maybe it's the same guy.
Maybe it's the
Maybe
same
he's
guy.
looking for another restaurant. I don't know.
Yeah, around the same area, right?
So I'm sorry. I had
So
to
you were involved in that restaurant,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So this is not the first time, right here
No,
in Fifth
no,
Avenue,
no.
right? You do you cook?
I love cooking. Yeah.
Ah, okay. So
Yeah.
it's got something to do with that,
Yeah. My name is Cook.
right? Yeah, that is cool.
That's true.
So must be in English people. It's like that, right? Like did you have a
It was
cook
no. It was
a couple hundred years ago?
No, it was necessity when we were growing up because my mum passed away quite early, and we had to learn quickly how to survive. So we all learned how to cook.
Right.
I cook here sometimes.
You do.
Yeah. Also, my kids. They come in to make pizza.
Ah, okay. So that's
Yeah.
a good educational place.
Okay,
So
you
I'm
were
sorry to
telling
bring
us
camels in.
also, you were telling us about an experience that's quite unique because, well, being long timers here, right? We have seen first times. So you were telling us about the first McDonald's in Guangzhou and some of the things that you saw over there. Go.
People eating French fries in the most peculiar way. They would order a plastic tray of French fries and chicken nuggets or chicken wings, whatever it was, and they would actually bring in their own disposable chopsticks to actually physically eat the chicken.
That was the first McDonald's in Guangzhou.
The first McDonald's anywhere in Guangdong.
in Guangdong.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was nothing anywhere.
Remember the year?
Not off the top of my head, no.
No.
Early 2000s.
Yeah, but these guys would come in, and they were dressed up because it was quite an experience. It was air conditioned. It was really nice. But they would pick up a French fry between their thumb and their finger, eat it until it got to almost the end, then throw the bit away, and then take another one, and then eat it all the way down to the thumb and the finger and throw it away. And I had to ask somebody that was with me, why are they doing it? Because French fries are not hygienic. You have to be careful. And this, I used to go in there for entertainment.
I'm sure this didn't happen in India.
Maybe, I don't know.
But so many
Anyway,
years, so many years later,
Yeah.
Chinese people embrace McDonald's so much, right?
Yeah.
They're loving this kind of Western culture, food culture nowadays.
Yeah, they
They're
do.
doing well in China.
I mean, Starbucks. I mean, now
Yeah.
in Dongguan,
There are like
I don't
60
know
of
how
them.
many of them.
60,
Yeah.
70 of
They've
them.
opened one right next to my house.
Yeah, there are 60,
Just-
70 of them in Dongguan.
I
I
stood-
remember the first one, yes.
I stood in a line in Hojie when they opened the Starbucks in Hojie.
The Hojie one was one of the first ones.
One of the first
Yes,
ones.
yes.
And it took me 40 minutes to get a coffee.
Yeah.
Which you wouldn't pay much attention to if you were back in New York, for example.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. You go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But there was nowhere else.
You know, people think China doesn't have those things, and people are not aware. It's funny. Israel doesn't have Starbucks. When my sister visit here, they're just waiting to drink a frappuccino in China. But it didn't work out in Israel. Starbucks.
Well, all I can say, and if you want to have a really good coffee, there's only one place to go, and that's Fifth Avenue. Yes.
Yes.
I attest to that. Very good coffee.
So, okay,
Yeah.
living here, so you've been here so many years, you've built a business, a successful business, you've been involved in restaurants, you were not a radio DJ in China.
Not yet.
Well, you're used to the microphone, I see. And what about giving back to the community, right? You told me in the past about some interesting charities you are involved with.
I believe that, quite honestly, China, I said earlier on, China has been exceptionally good to me. It's allowed me to do things that I wouldn't have been able to do anywhere else. And I think it's our moral obligation to give something back. And when I say give something back, I mean to the right cause to give something back. Ziv, you're hugely involved with Treasures of Hope,
Right.
which is an amazing organization. I have a school in Guangxi that I pay for the school, I pay for the teachers. And
This is like a primary school
yeah, primary
that you
school.
opened
Yeah.
as a charity.
As a charity, because what
non-profit,
happened?
so-
No. The village that the school is in used to have a school, and they had no money to pay for it, and it meant the children of that village would have to walk 10, 12 kilometers to go to school. And to me, that didn't seem right. So
Sorry.
it didn't seem right. So I thought, what can I do as a human being who, okay, I'm not super rich, but I'm comfortable. What can I do to give back to that community? And in Guangxi is where my partner comes from, and she struggled when she was at school. I mean, she struggled to go to university. I mean, but she survived. And putting something back in is so important.
It's
How many
meaningful.
kids?
It changes lives.
In fact, I heard last week they're up to 50 children now.
So there are 50 children that are studying
Yeah, 4 teachers.
because of you.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
How-
extremely significant.
How long have you been doing this?
This is now coming into the 4th year.
4th year.
Yeah.
So you just keep paying for, what is it?
Yeah, I set up a trust.
Oh, you set up a trust for them?
And the trust, they draw off the trust, and they're not abusing it. It's all for the benefit of the kids. And I love kids. We had a charity event here a few years ago called the Butterfly Masquerade Ball. This was a night to remember. And it was all in aid of a hospice
Yeah.
for sick kids.
Yeah.
And these kids had maybe 3 weeks, 3 months left in their lives. And we wanted to bring them a little bit of joy, a little bit of happiness, a little bit of comfort. So that those last number of weeks or days, they went out happy. Not happy, that's not the right word. They went out with dignity. And I think dignity is where it all really, I'm starting to well up now.
Too.
It's really about that thing. And we pulled this together with Eton House School and the Butterfly Foundation, and everybody that put everything into it did it for free. There was not one. We raised 250,000 RMB in one night
Right.
for this charity. and I designed a sofa.
The butterfly.
The butterfly. It was a sofa in the shape of a red butterfly that sat outside, and everyone came in, wanted to have their picture taken on the sofa. Then we gave the sofa to the charity to either auction or use for future events or whatever. And I think that's what I mean in the true way of giving something back. My kids are lucky. They're very, very healthy. They go to great school. They don't have to worry about whether they're going to have dinner tonight or whatever. But there are so many people out there that don't have that luxury. And for what it costs me as an individual, it's nothing.
Yeah.
It's respect, it's dignity.
Right.
It's nothing, yet it means everything
Nothing for you.
to
but
those
for-
kids.
No, it means a huge amount to me.
Yes.
But I don't mean financially. I mean financially, that's never been the issue. The issue is I always try to find the right cause, a cause that you can equate to. I mean, I mentioned earlier that my mother died very, very young. She was 39 years old, and she spent her last 3 weeks in a hospice. So this hospice thing resonated.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it was right. It was the right thing to do.
So are you look for more charities, or sometimes you hear about something you may help?
If I hear about things, I more often than not help out without any fanfare, without
Right.
anybody even knowing I'm involved. You know, if something needs to be done and I can do something, I will do it.
Right.
But I don't want, you know, okay, the butterfly ball was kind of different because it had to be an event of awareness as well as making money. You know, the restaurant, all the proceeds of the restaurant went to the charity. We did auctions, we did all sorts of stuff. But often I hear something about somebody that's having a problem, maybe they're sick or maybe, and I will help in a very indirect way, a very quiet, in the background. You know, I come here, I sit outside, you know, I have my lunch, I take a glass of wine, and I watch the world go by. And
Yeah. All right. So
Sorry.
maybe one last thing. You have been living here for 20 years. What is the future? Are you, like, people sometimes ask, how long will you stay in China, even though it's our home, right? Because we are foreigners, people usually don't think we are here for life. What is it for you? Are you here for life? Are you here until you're done?
basically, yes.
Yeah.
My family's here. Obviously, the kids, the businesses are all here.
Yeah.
I have no wanderlust anymore, you know, to go and try a new experience in another country. Before the pandemic, I would travel 12 times a year to Europe, Australia, Japan, Phuket, and that was my
Escape.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably the right word. Escape. This year's been tough because, you know, you can't go anywhere, do anything. But if the borders opened on the 1st of January, yeah, I'd go back to the UK a couple of weeks, see the family, because I still have a lot of family.
Yeah.
I would go to Phuket. Yeah, I miss my pool. And all these things that you can't do right now. But China is where it's all going to end. That's the last chapter.
Right.
There's no new chapter. Yeah, the book is closed.
And I just remembered another thing.
Oh, yeah.
I just remember another thing that I think is very interesting. You got sick in China,
Yeah.
and you had some serious procedures done in China.
Yeah.
That choice of getting the procedures taken care here in China speaks volumes to me and should speak volumes to the people out there. if you don't mind, could you tell us what the issues were?
Yeah, I've had 2 heart attacks. I have 2 stents in my heart. I couldn't have gone anywhere because I wouldn't have made the journey. I mean, they were that critical. I was at the Kangwa. Excuse my pronunciation.
Hospital, yeah, the Kanhua.
Yeah. Luckily enough to meet an amazing cardiologist who was trained in Canada called Dr. Wu, and he sorted out my heart. Then I got cancer in my hand, and I had to have the whole of my hand cut open and the tumor removed. Again, I went to the cardiologist, and he said, look, there's nobody in Dongguan that can do this procedure. It's too complicated. They flew somebody down from Beijing to perform the surgery at Kanhua, and after he checked everything was okay, 2 days later, he went back to Beijing. I had both my children born in Kanghua Hospital. No issues.
So all of these, no, there were no issues, no specific issues. It was all good treatments and.
It got a bit complicated in translation if there wasn't somebody around at the right time. I mean, recently I was playing football with the boys and tripped over and dislocated my shoulder, and straight to the Kanghua. And they got the guy, and he sorted out. Now I've got a metal plate and 8 screws in my arm, which will be there. You want a funny story about this? I went back 3 weeks ago and to have an X-ray to make sure the plate was still in the right position and the screws were okay. And this guy's English is not perfect. I have to be honest, it's not perfect. He said, Mr. Martin, he said, in your arm, titanium. Titanium. I think, wow. Aeroplanes. I'm thinking, super Formula One cars. Wow, I've got titanium. Wait till my boys hear this. He said, Mr. Martin, it's guaranteed for 25 years. I said, wow, amazing. He said, unfortunately, I cannot guarantee you for 25 years.
He was making a joke.
That's how Dongguan has changed.
Right.
Outlast the plates.
Right. Cool.
Well, okay. Martin, thank you so very
you.
much for your time.
It's been fascinating.
Yes. I mean, we can talk for hours, of course. There is so much more things I plan to talk about, but I think that it's as concise as we could make it today. Thank you for having us here at Fifth Avenue. And I'm looking forward to see what the other kind of things you're going to get yourself into in the next years to come.
The chapter
Yeah.
has reached the end. The book is closed.
Yeah. All right.
All right, guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Remember to go down to Spotify, Anchor, and
Apple Podcast, right? And if you liked what we listened to, please give us a review
comment.
and put a comment and share it with your friends. And until we see you or we talk to you next time, this has been, of course,
China. Bye-bye.